What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Eric, Mr. Cincinnati Robinson. As always, I'm joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. Choops, how you feeling, brother?
I've been better. The weather here has been pretty mid. So, we were 70 degrees and sunny on Monday, and then a tornado hit, and then we had a snow warning, and then, now we're here, and it's about 30 degrees outside. So my nose is all stuffed up, but that be damned. It's WrestleMania week, so let's go.
Yeah, well, you sound absolutely lovely. Good to see you as always. And as you guys can tell, we are not alone. We are with a couple of our comrades from the Main Event Wrestling Network, the hosts of the On the Mark podcast, Mr. OTM, Kyle, and the podcast son, Ian. Gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. Is this the first time that you both have been on at the same time?
Same time, yeah.
This is my first ever appearance on the Junkies podcast.
Wow. It's a moment here.
You're trying to
I feel accomplished
too. Look at that, putting his social media tag on there instead of his actual name, but that's fine.
That's fine. Hey, it's an act of teenage rebellion, okay? It tends to happen. Father, son, hug it out, okay? What?
I don't do hugs.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, that's good to know. I was going to give you a big hug when I saw you at SummerSlam, so I guess we're going to have to put that on the back burner.
No, I don't do hugs. You can ask my children. It doesn't matter.
Too sweet you? Can we do that?
We can do that.
Hey, hell yeah, brother.
He's full of shit. Anyway, it's fine. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. As always, hit that QR code in the top left corner. Like, share, subscribe, help us to run those numbers. See, there you go. They're getting it. I love it.
Shut up. Keep going. Shut up.
As I see, I wish you would not interrupt me during this part of the show because I'm in the middle of a flow state.
You interrupted yourself.
Yeah, well, you know what?
He got distracted.
I can interrupt me, okay? You cannot. All right, fine. Make sure to follow the Main Event Wrestling Network on X and all social media platforms. There is the handle. Make sure to follow the On the Mark guys at Pod On the Mark. A couple of quick announcements. Our WrestleMania bingo card is out. Look at Junkies Pod, our social media, to get yours for WrestleMania weekend. We're going to be ready and probably going to turn it into a drinking game. If you are in Philly for WrestleMania week, we've got Dragon Gate and ETU, Unlock the Unexpected. Ultimo Dragon is on this card. So if you've got something that if you want to kill some time before the WrestleMania Saturday, this is the perfect way to do it. Last but not least, Action Wrestling, Mustafa Ali, Landon Hale, April 26th, Tyrone, Georgia. Tickets are available now, and they're going fast. Come hang out with the Wrestling Junkies. Gentlemen, I think that is all of the announcements. Is there anything else, Dad?
I'm not your dad.
Dad, are there any more announcements?
You're not my dad.
I'm not your dad.
I don't have to sit here and take it.
I think you nailed it. I think you said it. I think you said it all. I think one thing you didn't say was everybody tell one friend. Friend, if you like what you're seeing here today, go out and tell them. Let's have some fun. This is a wrestling community that we want to keep growing. As Mr. Cope said, wrestling is fun and it's an awesome thing to do. And somebody got in their feelings a little bit and sent the old WWE guy out there. But hey, we're here to talk Stand and Deliver.
Who would you?
Yes, we are. Also, actually, before one more thing that I completely forgot, shout out to Rico Gonzalez and AC Mack for delivering their WrestleMania predictions for us. I was going to thank them for taking time out of their day to do something for us, but if you're going to interrupt me, then I can just go right. And
maybe you should have just remembered it in the first place.
Well, you know what? I remembered it now, so that's what I'm doing here. You mind?
He figured it out eventually. I'll give you 2 points for that one, Mr. Cincinnati.
Thank you very much. I feel like he's going to take those 2 points away in like 10 minutes anyway. So it's
you're already up to -10. So that's good.
Can I plug something for the network while we're doing plugs before
Absolutely.
we get into it? Yes. You could support the network this week by going to the onthemarkwrestlingpodcast.com. We have Main Event Wrestling merch. The retro merch is absolutely fire. I highly recommend getting you some. And if you see to my left, Ian, my co-host, is repping the Main Event Wrestling sweatshirt. That will be 10% off this week if you use promo code MANIA. You can also get a Wrestling Junkies tapestry, similar to the OTM one I got behind me. You'll save 10% off your order. What's wrong with that? It's WrestleMania week. Let's have a good time.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Gentlemen, let's get into it. NXT Stand and Deliver is this Saturday, the first show taking place on WrestleMania weekend for WWE. Go home show was last night, and I think that they hit their final build with everything they wanted to get in. couple of things I wanted to just kind of talk about first, and we're going to go ahead and start with the podcast, son. First and foremost, because we know that you don't catch every episode of NXT, but what you've heard from the build so far, just give us kind of your immediate thoughts when you've kind of heard about the card itself so far.
I mean, obviously the standalone, I think, match. The one that I'm drawn to, obviously, is with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. I think that has taken the world by storm. And the meteoric rise, like this is the definition of a meteoric rise and a genuine guy getting over, even if it's just a theme song. I mean, the feuds with Trick Williams. I like it.
Yeah.
The dude has been on fire. I'm excited to see where that goes. That is my staple. I mean, that's probably about dare to say 90% of the people tuning in for this match, and NXT always delivers, pun intended with Stand and Deliver. So I'm not sure if I'll be tuning in live to Stand and Deliver, but I will be paying close attention to what is going on.
Well said. Kyle, I'm going to kick it over to you here. So last night on NXT, we saw kind of the final build towards Ilya Dragunov, Tony D'Angelo, kind of a one-on-one tete-a-tete, and to some degree, Ilya looked vulnerable for a couple of minutes, and this was probably the most sinister that Tony D'Angelo has looked so far in the build of this match. What did you think of that pre-tape?
So here's the thing, and I hate to start off on a negative note, and granted, this is just my opinion, but I still can't take Tony D'Angelo seriously. It's just too gimmicky for me. I can't really dive into it from a storyline standpoint. He's been known as a tag team guy in his entire run in NXT, basically. Of course, the first couple months he was doing singles matches, but for the most part, he's been known as a tag team guy. I legitimately can't take him seriously as a viable contender to Ilya Dragunov, knowing the lineage of Dragunov, knowing the people that he has already defeated in the past. Dragunov has defeated Gunther, which is something basically no one else can say. That's huge. Tony D'Angelo, other than the last couple months, what really has he been doing? But the segment itself, going back to your initial question, it was cool to see that more serious side of Tony D, because we know he is this self-proclaimed mob boss. I think Dragunov's a little vulnerable, but once again, I'm just not fully buying into it. So it was okay for me.
It's fair. Podcast Papa?
I was originally looking forward to this match a lot. I think when it happened, I was like, oh, this is intriguing. It's a new challenger. I mean, Tony D has no chance of winning, let's be honest. And I wish they would not do I wish they wouldn't lean so heavy into the movie mob, cartoon mob kind of character that he's been doing. I enjoyed the segment last night, but the build so far has been just kind of meh for me.
Sure.
And I'm going to be the negative one on the show today. The Stand and Deliver cards kind of, besides Trick and Mello, just, I don't know if it's the WrestleMania hype that we're expecting from the two nights, but this one just kind of feels like, okay, it's here and we'll watch it, but I'm not super excited for it, if that's
fair.
A bad thing to say or not. But
I agree with you. For the record, just want to put that out there. I think if you stack it up against other Stand and Deliver cards that we've seen in the past, I mean, hell, even look at last year's card.
Yeah.
This one just seemed thrown together last minute, and on the go-home show, they really weren't even focusing that much on the card. Half this stuff was thrown together last second.
Yeah, I mean, there were at least two matches that were, and I, my thoughts are definitely mixed on that, and we're going to go through all of our predictions on this. I enjoyed the segment last night. I do think that it came a little too late, though. To have kind of that moment of there is that intimidation with Tony D'Angelo. We needed that a few weeks ago because again, we have been preconditioned to see Tony D'Angelo as a tag team guy for the majority of his NXT run. And I loved him and Stacks as tag team champions. It worked. They are a great team. I think that it also took too long to get Chris's favorite wrestler, Luca Crucifino, added to the mix as the consigliere, because he already has that look and that polish that fits the D'Angelo family. Chris is the only one here that watches NXT Level Up on a weekly basis to know how good he is. And
wait till now,
give it time.
Did you say Wardlow?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yikes. Well, maybe we'll put him on WWE Speed too while we're at it.
Hey, I really enjoyed that today. All right.
I didn't hate it. I'm just saying, for what it is, it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to watch it, just watch main event. Let's be honest.
I didn't get the time to watch Speed, so I'll see if I can find some time for it.
You didn't have 3 minutes?
No.
Ricochet was done in less than 3. He was done in less than 2. Chris knows something. No, never mind.
I was gonna say Ian knows something like that, but all right, we're on the same page.
Dad defending.
Hey, Samantha Irvin was looking across the ring from me too. I had to be the same way.
Facts.
No lies detected.
I love my
anyway. Wife. Yes, yeah. Shout out to Heather. She's a real one.
Says that all the time.
It's
you guys.
Well, that's because Heather has a look that she knows to give Chris at the appropriate time when she absolutely just needs him to stop whatever degeneracy he's engaged in, and I don't know. It puts the fear of God into somebody.
Will I see that look SummerSlam weekend?
If you get lucky.
I can make that happen.
Can't wait. Let's go.
All right, guys, let's just get right on into the card here. So it looks like there's gonna be a couple of kickoff shows here, or kickoff matches here. So the first one, Shawn Spears and Joe Gacy. This was announced last night. Sounds like this rivalry's not over. I believe that Gacy was getting ready to take on, was that Obafemi last night? Or
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was attacked pre-match by Shawn Spears. He still kept going anyway. Crawls into Ava's office and says, I want him at Stand and Deliver. She says, all right, you got it, the kickoff show. Let's start. I'm going to start with Kyle here again. As far as this evolution of Joe Gacy post schism, what do you think of this run so far?
I'm enjoying it. And I think he's the perfect example of a character that doesn't need to win to be good. Just his crazy mentality. You never know what's going to come next from Joe Gacy. I think that's what, is so entertaining about this singles run that we're getting post Schism. I mean, Schism as a whole was a good idea at the time, but in a way it felt like a knockoff of Sanity. I know it's not comparing apples to apples, it's apples to oranges, but still, but the Joe Gacy we're getting now has been much more entertaining for sure. I've been enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it seems like it's a real callback to the indie days of his. I mean, even with the match he had with Dijak a few months back, that was I forget what the stipulation was. I think it might have been an asylum match or something like that. But I mean, the Lego spot through a table. I mean, if you can't use thumbtacks and you can use Legos, I mean, an indie spot on a WWE show is pretty damn cool. So I agree with you that this has been a refreshing run, and this gets Spears on the card since he's come back. I mean, that was a shock return. I didn't have that on my bingo card that he'd be coming back. He'd been doing just fine on the indies. But
I'm not into it, man. I don't know. Like the return was great, but it just I don't quite get it yet. Like I don't understand why he's in NXT. I don't understand why he's still Shawn Spears. Like the audience knows him as Ty Dillinger, so I'm not with it quite yet.
I would say I don't think this reminds me kind of like Bryan Danielson going to AEW with this. It's a well-known guy. I mean, not on the Bryan Danielson level, but you guys, like for an NXT audience, they know who Ty Dillinger was. They know who Shawn Spears is now. I don't think it's supposed to be a title run champion kind of return. It's more of he has his own school. He has his own wrestling school. I'm sure he's back in a teaching sense and trying to get the guys over, the younger talent.
You know what I think might be an issue, and I could be totally wrong with this perception, but to me, the WWE NXT live audience probably is only watching WWE television. So I think the return, he probably should have been Ty Dillinger still, because that's what WWE fans are familiar with. The Perfect 10 gimmick is great. Sure, there might be a ceiling on that, but like the podcast dad was saying, the run that we've gotten so far, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's not going to work out in the long run, hasn't been that great.
Yeah, it's I mean, and he's just another one of those kind of what we thought were going to be major NXT debuts / returns that fizzled out. Lexus King is also once again it's
getting better.
Is he on the card?
Is it?
No.
Okay. I was going to bring that up. Yeah. I did not see him in the card, which shocks me.
That's a miss.
It shocks you. But it shouldn't shock you.
He did get a rare win last night, though. He did win last night. I'll give him that. Cool. He did. But yeah, it might be time to find a fresh start for that character. Go back to Brian Pillman Jr. That's what I would say. But we're just gonna go around. I'm gonna start with the podcast son. Your prediction for this match: Shawn Spears or Joe Gacy?
I'm gonna stick to it, saying Shawn Spears is back to teach and get the guys over. So I'm gonna go with Joe Gacy here.
Mr. OTM.
First off, I want to shout out the Great Brown Hope in the comments section. He'll be joining us for the main event mixer this Saturday, where we talk about Stand and Deliver again. So you will hear his thoughts on Stand and Deliver hour before the show. But this match, Gacy versus Spears, it goes back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. I don't think Gacy's a character that needs to stack up a lot of wins. Shawn Spears recently returns. I think if he loses here, it's going to kill even more momentum for him. So I think Shawn Spears, by hook or crook, is going to find a way to win this match. So I'm going with him.
Yeah, I think it's too early for Shawn Spears to lose quite yet. And putting over Joe Gacy, I don't know is the guy to do it. So I'll go Shawn Spears.
Yeah, I'm going to go Shawn Spears as well. I don't think that his return to NXT is going to be long for this world. I think that he is going to be main roster bound sooner than later. I mean, as long as Cody Rhodes is in good graces, then I think that he's going to get an opportunity up there. Where he fits kind of in that landscape on Raw or SmackDown is an entirely different question for another time. But I think this is just kind of allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Sean kind of moment.
Spears.
Does he really fit on the main roster right now?
I mean, as long as Cody's there, I think he's got a shot at it. That's all I'm saying.
I would like that. I just don't think they would do that just because AEW did it.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, Jake Cargill's there for a reason.
Yeah. Ricky Starks will be there soon.
He better.
Yeah, seriously. It's all right. Anyway, next match we got up. We've got a 6-woman tag match here. And this is Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan, Thea Hale taking on JC Jane, Izzy Dame, and Kiana James. This, again, another match kind of put together last minute last night, even though the story between Thea Hale and JC Jane has been brewing for the better part of a few months now. Podcast Dad, I'm going to kick it over to you. What do you think about the execution of this Chase U story? What you act like this isn't your show.
I know. I hate to say it because I'm the one that says we need to get more women's matches on the card. I do not care about this match at all.
Can I start this off just by saying I'm not going to give my prediction.
No.
As an outsider, I know none of these people. I've seen Kalani Jordan on Twitter at one point. I know none of them. Yeah.
He didn't deny it. Hey, you haven't seen me tweet about Fallon Henley every single week? Come on.
I should know Thea Hale too.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Mr. OTM because he live tweets SmackDown or Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all of it as best he can. I mean, it's always funny. I love it.
NXT's my favorite, brother. I've said it from day one. I'm an NXT guy through and through, but man, I am not that excited for this card.
That's fair.
And I feel like this would have been better served if they would have done like Thea Hale versus JC Jane and maybe the other two in a tag match. Like that would have been fine. Or maybe like a lumberjack match or something like that. But I just it just seems like this was kind of shoehorned on the card because hey, oh shit, we need another women's match. So that's what it feels like old WWE booking to me, and I'm not here for it at the moment. I think Thea Hale has a really bright future out of all of these women.
Yeah, she's only 20, I think.
Yeah. Like she's going to have a bright future. I think Fallon Henley could do something pretty good in the WWE as well. I'm not super excited for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all 6 of these women have really high upside. My problem with this match, it kind of just goes back to the build itself. When we see JC Jane join Chase U, I'm not buying her as a babyface from the second that she starts in on this group. And even as she does kind of finally reveal her true colors as time goes on, it kind of felt like how I usually feel sitting waiting for the Duke Hudson heel turn, just kind of like, all right, any day now. Like
You're never going to get it. Just
never say never. Yeah. Never say never. Okay, let's just no. I'm not letting you take. I'm not letting you take that from me today. Okay, I absolutely am waiting for the Duke Hudson heel turn. It's coming, but back to JC. This was a hard story to buy in the first place. I mean, even the Chase U having gambling debts, that was a far-fetched story in and of itself, because they really didn't do a good job of kind of weaving that into a comprehensible story, and then even figuring out kind of what's next to save the school. It just didn't work. And this is from Cage My IQ right here. JC's still trying to live off the toxic attraction attitude. I would have been fine with that as a singles group, or if they had hooked her up with these two, or not Izzy,
Kiana.
Yeah,
Kiana?
yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Dude, just bring her back with Gigi. What's Gigi doing right now?
Gigi's not doing anything.
Yeah, well, no, Gigi's in a program with who you are obsessed with, Chris, Ariana Grace. The gimmick is not working.
No, this gimmick
with Ariana, you're saying?
The thing that they're doing now with Ariana Grace is not working, where she doesn't want anybody to wrestle. That doesn't
even though
work.
she's in the wrestling
pageant
industry.
Thing
Got it.
Works. I disagree with him on that. Like the whole beauty pageant thing, I love that. But this whole thing where I don't want anybody to fight, that's stupid. You're a wrestler.
Okay. Yeah. But now let's just get right on into the prediction. Yeah, let's get on into it.
We talked about this match. We weren't excited about it, and then we spent 10 minutes on it.
Father and son are gonna get to go first. We're gonna age before beauty. So podcast son, what you got? I said podcast son.
I know.
I'd let my dad speak for me, but
no, you're the guest.
The only one I really know of, as I said, is Kalani Jordan. So I'm gonna go with her team, because that is the only. Sure. I genuinely could not tell you. I knew somebody was in Chase U because I was along that ride, and I saw whoever joined Chase U. I was there when she joined him, when she was a heel.
It was
Thea.
Oh, JC, you're done.
JC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thea has always been very team Chase U.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna go with the Kalani Jordan team. That's all I got.
Okay. Podcast Dad.
I'll go JC Jane team, because I think there's going to be a one-on-one match between her and Thea, and you might as well just give JC the win here.
Mr. OTM?
As much as I don't care about this match, as I stated, big Fallon Henley guy. I think the babyface team needs this win more. Thea's probably going to be the one to get some revenge on JC, and maybe that could lead to a singles match at one of their special NXT weekly shows that they do. I'm going to go with the babyface team here, especially with what I think is going to happen in the women's championship match. I think it would be smart to have a babyface women's team get the win in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I don't see this match being the end of this story. I think that we still need the definitive one-on-one match. I think they've attempted it, but there's been some shenanigans that kind of just derailed it. I think that next TV special, perfectly fine for JC to pick up the win overall for this feud, is the one that's kind of helped Chase U to get back on their feet. I think Thea again can absorb this loss. I mean, she always finds herself. She's kind of that plucky underdog that always finds herself in fortunate situations. Anyway, she's like Brindley Reese, but just a little bit more toned down. But that's just me. So anyway, we are on to the main card here. We're going to start with the NXT Tag Team Championships. We've got Nathan Frazier and Axiom taking on the Wolf Dogs. Mr. OTM, I'm going to start with this one. Start this one with you. What have you thought of this build as far as Braun and Baron as a tag team before we actually get into this match here?
The Braun and Baron stuff has been fantastic, and unfortunately, I think it's probably going to end here soon. But I think we've even discussed it before, that the possibility of bringing Corbin up to SmackDown with Braun Breaker is very intriguing, at least to me. I love what they're doing. I think they got a great on-screen chemistry going on there. Their finishing moves are electric. It just works. Sometimes you put these teams together. Look at the bar. Look at Cesaro and Sheamus back in the day. We didn't think that was going to work. It started because they were doing a best of 7 singles series, and it evolved into one of the best tag teams in the 2010s. So
people always forget that 7th match. Thank you for bringing that up. Everybody forgets that. It was a great series.
Yeah. But yeah, I love it.
Podcast Dad?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Mr. OTM. Like, I'd be happy if they came up as a group, especially if they're going to split the tag titles. Like, why not? Like, you need more teams to add depth to each division, so go ahead and do that. I don't know if this is going to be the time they take the NXT tag titles off of them. You know my gripe about the NXT tag team division right now.
I agree with you.
This one just kind of feels thrown together. I think this is going to be a much better match than what we would have gotten with the Good Brothers. Like these two are going to fly around for Corbin and Breaker. Breaker's going to do something amazing, which he always does. But again, this one just kind of feels a little thrown together, and they don't really have a ton of credible teams at the moment, and I think this reflects it.
Yeah, and the Great Brown Hope's point, I want to bring this up. He suggests calling up Axiom and Fraser before Corbin and Breaker, keep them as champs on NXT. I don't hate that idea. I think that at least when it...
Yeah. Axiom will get lost.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
let's at least give Speed a couple of weeks before we relegate it to the status of that.
I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying that's fair.
But if we're putting it in that same little bubble as main event, we're all forgetting one important thing here. Okay, there's a new belt that new belt is debuting as a result of this, and I got some space to fill here.
Oh, don't get a Speed title.
It's not the white IC title, though. You don't know that.
You know what?
It's not the world heavyweight title.
I will buy whatever belt I damn well please. And you know what? You're not my supervisor, okay?
You know what? I forgot I was the NXT champion of OTM. Let me get my belt.
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
Is this what we're doing? We're getting our belts?
All right.
Are we getting our belts?
I mean, if you want to. There's no way Ian actually has a belt on him. No, everybody's actually getting their belts right now. What are you the world heavyweight champion of, though, podcast Dad? Oh, my God, he does have one.
I got the AEW women's title with me.
The first one.
The old school one, I like.
This is pretty good. That's pretty good. What am I the world heavyweight title of? Everything.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about me.
That's fair.
Being a podcast.
This is the greatest title ever.
I agree.
Agreed.
It is. Mine is just...
Yours is shit.
Prettier. You know what?
This is better than the NXT title they have now. That's for sure.
I won't get back pain from mine.
Yeah, I might, though.
This is pretty heavy.
Can I just...
Johnny Gargano? What? Anybody?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
No. Ooh,
Johnny Champion.
Okay.
It says Johnny Champion right there.
I like it.
It's good.
Very nice.
Corbin Breaker are winning. Next.
Now, King Chris, I love you to death. We go back a long time. Don't you talk shit about my other belt back there, bud. We're gonna have this conversation is gonna turn into a confrontation. All right.
The Bangle one.
Well, they have to get that because they don't have a Super Bowl. So
you know what?
Oof.
You know what?
Yeah, you walked into that one.
Anyway,
thank God that guy's gone.
Dad, come back.
Real quick, your prediction on who we got here.
Well, okay. I first of all, I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm going to go Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker here. However,
okay.
I want to touch on bringing them up to the main roster.
Yeah, sure.
I love the idea of bringing them up as a tag team because I think they need it. I think the roster needs the New Day's not doing it anymore as the entertaining side of the tag team. They've done that doesn't take anything away from what they have done. They are one of the best tag teams in history. However, they need another step in that tag division and to carry those titles because I think the Judgment Day has done an okay job of it, but they've kind of held the titles captive, which I'm glad. Hopefully, we're going to get to that tag title split. However, I think this is a perfect way to not just introduce the tag team, but also Braun Breaker in itself. Bringing him in with Baron Corbin, the main roster fans know Baron Corbin as Happy Corbin. That's the last they've seen of him. He is the He's not. I mean, let's be honest. If you bring him up, he's not that badass that he's turned himself into as of recently in NXT. A small percentage have. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
However, pairing Braun Breaker, where we saw him in the Royal Rumble as that next badass, sort of Brock Lesnar-ish. I know I said his name. Oh well.
Yeah, that's fine.
In the ring.
In the ring, correct.
Piss him off.
But pairing like a main roster fan, just a normal fan seeing Braun Breaker with a Baron Corbin, it could be a little unsettling and start that little feud that could be happening with Braun Breaker trying to break out as the badass character. So I think that could be a feud in the future as well, as well as bringing them into the tag division. So I love the idea of bringing them to the main roster together.
What's your pick?
I said Braun and Baron. Let him cook a little bit more in NXT.
All right. Who still needs to give theirs? I kind of lost track there.
I do, I think.
Okay.
And I'm going to differ from everybody else. I'm going to go with
that.
Axiom and Nathan Frazier to become the new NXT Tag Team Champions. Is it what I want to see? No, because I love what Braun and Corbin are doing. But let's not forget, Braun Breaker was drafted to SmackDown. He's going to get to SmackDown business. So drop the titles. This is his final hurrah in NXT. And then we finally get to see him on the main stage. So I'm going with a new champions here, even though I probably would have rather seen either the LWO or Gallows and Anderson face off against these guys.
It's fair. Heather's husband?
I already told you.
All right, fine. Anyway, yeah.
I heard you.
Thank you.
Okay, whatever.
You're welcome.
Had a moment there. Excuse me. I'm trying to do everything else that is involved in the production of our show. My bad. I'm going to go Axiom and Frazier as well. It's definitely Braun's time to move up to the main roster. And I think that if they brought up Corbin, it doesn't necessarily even need to be with Braun as a tag team. I think that it would be time to kind of see where they're at with this now. A lot like what we saw with Finn Balor when he returned to NXT, to add a little bit of edge that he desperately needed because he had been kind of the smiley baby face that has a demon that comes out every once in a while that just gets plucked off by everybody else larger than him in his wake. Yeah. Look at us finishing each other's sentences. That's kind of just, I think that it would be good for him if they let him have a little bit more of that relaxed nature that we get from him in interviews or when he does up, down, down, things like that, to kind of show what his personality is, as opposed to having a septuagenarian tell us what his personality is. See what happens. So
counterpoint to bringing him up as a solo.
Let's hear it.
The main roster is stacked in the singles department. I think bringing him up now, especially now, I mean, maybe after WrestleMania, if some people get written off in the main scene, maybe there's room for him. But at the moment, I think if you bring him up, he's immediately getting lost. I don't think there's even a chance.
Speed.
I mean, that's yes, which is good. That's a good thing. Speed is good.
Hey, he can hit
Cincinnati crying again.
He can hit the end of days out of nowhere. I mean, it might be.
No, it's still one of the most protected finishers in the business right now.
Just
gotta love
weird. So weird.
Yeah. All right, next match. This is Meat Madness, NXT North American Championship and a triple threat. Oba Femi, Dijak, and Josh Briggs. I think that on both of our shows, we have all sung our praises of Oba Femi and what he has been able to do as a champion in less than 15 televised wrestling matches, I think is where we're at right now as far as the number. Just forced to be reckoned with. Ian, I want to start with you on this one. Just when you see Oba Femi, when you see him walking around with that championship, take me through what you're thinking. What's your ceiling for him in WWE?
So I don't know how his promos are. I mean, I guess you guys could tell me how. Okay, which you'd
better
expect
than
that
Omos.
from an athlete. Well, I mean,
better than Omos.
But can he eat more pizza than Omos?
No, Tozawa.
No. Actually, probably.
No, Tozawa came in and he came in. It was a WrestleMania 9 finish during that eating contest yesterday.
It was hilarious.
It literally was. Omos getting finished tagged in Tozawa. Tozawa comes in and wins the entire thing.
Did you just mention his name?
Oh, he did.
Wait, what?
You bitch!
Reset the board. Reset the board.
There it goes. He's actually doing it as we do.
What did I miss?
You said the H word.
So we there are certain names that we don't say on the show, and yeah, brothers. We don't. We had gotten. I mean, we got through all of February, all of March,
and it's always you. It's always you.
What a shame.
I'm usually much better than that. Sorry, guys. Anyway, we now return. We now return to our normal programming.
You return.
Yeah, we were still here.
We were all here. Yeah, thank you.
So back to Obafemi.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a wrestler.
On screen, correct. On screen, when I see Obafemi, that dude is a unit. Obviously, he is an athlete. We know his background in the track and field. He was a shot putter, correct? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, as you said, he's got average promo skills, which I would assume to be from an outside perspective. However, from an outside perspective and in the main roster, like kind of like headspace and more, I guess it's going to sound weird, but like Twitter space, especially because I mean, that's kind of where I get my NXT bit from. The one guy that I see probably the most in NXT is Dijak.
Yeah.
I think the guy is sort of almost carrying the NXT brand, especially in the social media scene, which as much as old heads in ratio, as much as old heads in wrestling care to admit, social media is incredibly huge, especially in today's pro wrestling. So I would love to see Dijak win that title and see what he could do, especially on his promo game over Twitter, and maybe post his promos with that title over his shoulder. So I'm going to go Dijak here.
Okay. And I want to point this out from Cage My IQ. Dijak has recovered from the Retribution madness.
Yeah.
It's about damn time too. It took forever to get that stink off. I mean, Mustafa Ali, quite frankly, didn't escape it until he was released and made his way back to the Indies. This is perfect for him. Kind of this mercenary. It reminds me of that Frank Miller movie Sin City. A lot of that film noir that they've kind of been doing with him, this vigilante look, it's working for him. They're letting him talk, they're letting him cut promos in his manner. He was compared to Shaft 2 weeks ago and promptly responded, I'm white, right? Like that's just kind of that reactionary on the fly stuff that you need in pro wrestling, and that's what happens when you don't have everything word by word detailed. And it's working for him. So, Mr. OTM, let's hear your prediction.
Well, first off, I love that comment by Cage My IQ. He's got some good stuff right now in the comments section. But this one's tough for me. This is the one where I've kind of flip-flop back and forth. Originally, I thought Obafemi would retain, but we talked about how major this guy is and how imposing he is. I think he needs to take that next step already, which is crazy to say. I think he needs to ascend up the card in NXT. Hell, maybe even get a call up to the main roster. So Ian talked about it. Dijak is so over right now on social media, and what he is doing on TV is fantastic as well. I think you strike while the iron's hot, put the title on Dijak, let him run with the title for a couple months. And I think you can get some great matches, some great challengers for Dijak as North American champion. So I'm going to go with a new champion here.
Okay. All right. Podcast Padre.
Man, these guys are smart. I think there's a reason this is a triple threat match. I think Dijak is going to pin Briggs and win the North American title. Yeah. And I think Obafemi is going to go right to the main event scene and beat Ilya for the title. And what better big giant roadblock do you need for a Trick Williams to win that title? Is a big giant roadblock in Obafemi, right? So
and have it at an NXT roadblock.
I was about to say, I thought that was a pay-per-view.
It is. They already have it.
Yeah. I mean, the story's there. But yeah, like I'm going to go Dijak. I think he has done very well in NXT. I think he has done a lot of stuff in NXT where we can sometimes question it, and he's like my son said, kind of carried that NXT banner for a little while. Reward him. Let's get him the North American title. Oba's on the way up anyway.
Another thing to support Dijak to push him now. I mean, like How long have they been trying with Dijak to make him into this he's become? I mean, I feel like it's been so long.
And we're talking pre-Retribution days when he's still feuding with Keith Lee is when we saw the true promise with him. It's just that, again, that Retribution angle was so poorly executed that, I mean, nobody really recovered from it without either going away for a while or being sent back to NXT.
Or not being in the company.
Yeah. And let's talk Josh Briggs here for
I forgot about Slapjack. How could I forget about that guy?
Yeah.
What's he doing now?
He's doing just fine on the indies these days. Yeah, he's part of TMDK, I think.
And he's back to his roots.
Yeah, but I'm going to touch briefly on Josh Briggs here because this has kind of been a recent breakout for him. That tag team with Brooks Jensen, teaming with Fallon Henley, kind of came to that mutual end. Almost kind of felt like an APA closing at the end of the at the end of the draft kind of thing, which is fitting because JBL comes in and says to Briggs, "You need to show the world who you are. You've been trying to figure out who you are as a tag team, but now it's time for you to focus on yourself." And he's taken that to heart. And Briggs is a second generation talent, so we know that the business runs in his blood, and there's a modest ceiling for him. I will say I'm not clamoring for him to win a title anytime soon. Podcast on?
You said second generation. I'm lost with Josh Briggs.
Yeah. Who's his dad?
I am fairly. It's what's that? No.
He's related to Ava Rain.
I want to make sure that I have this right.
I did not know that. That is a fun fact.
This here.
He's pulling up.
Well, he might be lying. So hold on.
Well, no, I wanted to check it.
He's probably
okay.
Right. Yeah.
No,
said he is.
So he is not the second generation. It's Brooks Jensen that is the second generation. He's the son of Bull Buchanan. That's why So
So you were lying.
That's what it is. I wouldn't say that I was lying. I was just saying that I was incorrect. I mean, thank you guys for the memories, even if they weren't so absolutely great. So anyway, we're gonna go right back on. I mean, hey.
Oh, there it goes.
He who has the toggle has.
He's gone. Wow. He went to go reset his router. He got confused.
Turn off the light too.
Close.
That's gotta be time.
I'm back. Breaker.
Yeah. No, I think this is setting up for something fluky here, and I said this on our show. I think that Obi Femi will be NXT champion well before the end of the year is out. This kind of sets up a great challenger for Ilya. Another way for Trick to have another prolonged run in NXT as well. I think there are larger plans at play here. He doesn't really need this North American Championship. I mean, look at the crowd reaction he's getting already, even when he cuts mid promos, because he's that good in the ring and we know what he can do and we know what the company sees in him, that we're just going to enjoy the ride. And absolutely so. I mean, the dude is only 22, but looks 37 and
25.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I can't do math. I'm still not that young anymore, so good for him.
Can we boot him from the screen?
The liar. That's fine. Anyway. Yeah, that's fine.
No, don't do that. No, I pointed to the wrong guy. I'm talking about you. That guy. Right above me. Oh, no, not him.
Oh, there he goes.
What is this?
All right, Dad, lead the ship.
This Brady Bunch? What's happening? What's going on here? Why do people keep moving?
This is Wrestling Junkies on crack.
What is happening? Stop moving me. I'm getting sick.
If you want to see more of content like this, tune into the main event mixers. This basically sums it up.
This is literally the main event mixer.
Two of them this weekend.
We've got two this weekend.
Cage my IQ said madness.
It is, and it absolutely is. But that's the kind of the fun that we have here. I mean, this
is in the bottom corner.
We know Podcast Dad is always on top.
Yes.
You know what? Okay. All right.
Always on top and to the right.
You happy now? You feel better?
Yeah, I do like
you good? You good?
Yeah. Now it's more split. Wait, hold on. Wrong way. There we go.
All right. Okay.
Mr. Cincinnati, who's winning? Have we established?
What match are we even on?
We're still in the North American Triple Threat. I'm gonna go ahead and say.
You think Brooks Jensen is gonna win? Okay, got it.
You know what? Okay. All right. Okay. Now we'll move on, since all of a sudden everybody's gonna freak out. NXT Women's Championship. We've got Lyra Valkyria taking on Roxanne Perez, Lyra carrying the mantle after taking the title from the man. Roxanne has developed an evil streak as of late and seems to be embracing the hell out of it, much like Cora Jade did. Mr. OTM, I'm going to start with you. What have you thought of Roxanne's heel turn so far?
It's good, not great. I think Roxanne's definitely a better baby face, but I think they sort of had to pivot here going into Stand and Deliver because there really wasn't a top heel other than maybe Blair Davenport in their current division that could challenge Lyra at this big of a stage. So I think that's why Roxanne's turn did happen. Now, it's interesting it happened after Cora went to the dark side because we know their history and their tag team run that they had for a week. But I think it's been solid. I'd like to see more from it, but I'm very excited for this match. It's a rematch from what we saw. We didn't really get to see the finish because Lola Vice ended up cashing in that contract. So hopefully it's just a straight one-on-one here. It should be a good one.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that there need to be any shenanigans in this one. Podcast Son, I'm going to turn it over to you. What are you thinking about this so far?
Yeah, like Gag said, Mr. OTM said.
They don't know who Gags is.
I know. It's, Anyway, with Roxanne Perez, I genuinely cannot be sold on her as a heel at all. She could probably kick a dog on screen, and I still will think she is a babyface. Again, that's just me. I cannot be sold on it. And I think Lyra Valkyria winning that title really did mean something for that title and for her. The amount of, confidence they have in her in carrying the company. So I'm going to stick with Lyra Valkyria.
First one to give his pick. Okay.
Choops.
Interesting, because I have really enjoyed this heel turn. I feel like I'm on an island, but I think this has been really good. I think it's been really good. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed this kind of change in character. It almost feels like Braun Breaker, right? Like they have to see this other side to see, okay, you're a prodigy, right? Let's round out your entire character. Can you do heel? Can you do babyface? If you're going to be the next big thing in the women's division, you got to be able to do both. Kind of like Braun. If you're going to be the next big thing in the men's division, you got to be able to do both. So I am thoroughly enjoying this heel turn. I think she's going to win at Stand and Deliver. I think Lyra might be boosted to the main roster after Mania. I think another influx of talent is coming. And there are plenty of baby faces on the NXT roster for a heel champion to feud with at the moment. So give me Roxanne Perez.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that result as well, that Roxanne takes this title here. WWE, that is one wrestling company where you have to, if you're going to excel, you need to know how to do everything. Face, heel, drama, absurdity, comedy, you name it. You have to be able to do it and be able to convince others that you can do it and that it is legit. I've enjoyed. I didn't do it this time. I didn't do it this time. I
just go on with the chlorophyll.
So
I just have to get my pick, by the way, once you're done, just so you remember.
Okay. WrestleMania 9? I'm confused.
All right. Come on,
I got confused. You said chloroform. I'm thinking Giant Gonzalez.
Chlorophyll. Go on with the chlorophyll.
And yet, you know what? This is a Mr. WrestleMania conversation for another day.
It's not Sean.
When it comes, I was gonna keep. You know what? Nope. Not today, Satan. Anyway,
not today.
So with Roxanne, I like this heel turn. I think that it's because she's doing the never meet your idol story, loosely based of just kind of I used to look up to people like Natty who were on the show last night. She's like, no, now I don't anymore, and I don't care, and it's working for me. You can all you want, don't care. Natty's still going in the Hall of Fame. So with Roxanne, I think, let's see where this edge takes her. I think that there might have been a plan to reunite her with a heel Cora Jade, which would have been great. I think that that's probably what has taken a lot of the teeth out of what this potential feud could be, is that she might have had some backup to help her with this, and probably some matches that Lyra could play off of and do some stuff with Cora in a build to this program that we're not going to get. But I think that between the two, Lyra, they have no plans to turn heel anytime soon. I would be okay if she lost the title here. She took the title from Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch took that Tiffany and main roster right now and be ready to go. Roxanne, they want to flesh out and see what they have with this heel character, much like they've done with the last year with Braun Breaker. So that being said, I'm going to choose Roxanne. Mr. OTM, over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. I think we're getting a new champion here in Roxanne for all the reasons that you guys were saying. But I do think there is going to be a wrinkle in the finish here. We've seen this relationship between Lyra and Tatum Paxley. She has gone out of her way, Lyra has, telling her, I don't need you to get involved in this match. I can handle Roxanne on my own. I want to handle Roxanne on my own. Somehow, some way, I think Tatum Paxley is going to make her way out there, whether she's out there from the beginning or she comes in at the end. And I think she's going to be the reason that Lyra ultimately loses her title here. And that gives Lyra something to do a little bit after Stand and Deliver, and then eventually maybe she can get drafted because we know the draft is coming up. So it doesn't need to be an immediate call-up for Lyra, but I would like to see her and Tatum Paxley kind of go at it for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I mean, and we've seen the story before, kind of the Mickey James Trish Stratus angle. Adapt that for 2K24, and I'm happy for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and much like Cage My IQ says, Tatum turns will be a fun story. So now
he's saying that she's going to help Rock. Oh yeah, never mind.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think that despite the overall builds to the matches here, I still think because WWE wants to make this a weekend that everybody's talking about, I still think that there's going to be some great surprises here. But gentlemen, we are into our main events. We're going to start with the NXT. To be honest, closing the show here. Ilya Dragunov, the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo for the NXT Championship. Podcast Dad, I'm going to start with you here as far as this. Let's talk about your thoughts on the build so far and what you're thinking as far as the result.
Yeah, well, I'll keep it short and sweet. Mid.
Yep,
that's
all right.
That's what I think. I wish I was excited when Tony D won. I didn't think Mello and Trick needed the title, but I'm not into the whole cartoony, stereotypical Italian character at the moment, and they haven't convinced me that Tony D'Angelo has a chance in hell of winning this title off of Ilya. So
even though he's got a Consigliere and Luca Crusifino now,
don't care.
He's the biggest level up fan in the world, and you're not even excited that he's part of the. Okay.
Don't care. Have you seen Ilya Dragunov in the ring? That dude is a madman, and it will do
top
anything.
5 wrestler right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
I agree. And WWE has big plans for him. He's not losing to the Don. So give me Ilya.
Hell
no. No. I think it's safe to say this is kind of a consensus pick here.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though the comments disagree with us, apparently.
Really?
No, let's yeah, Cage My IQ says that Tony D wins. It's
why and how.
Yeah,
that's
done.
Yeah, definitely would love to hear more of your thoughts on that. Like it's a I think that especially at the beginning of this feud when he kind of inserts himself into that contract signing situation with, I think that was Mello and Ilya, and he had Mello security under his payroll. That was a great swerve to kick off, and there was a lot to be excited about. But it was tough to find I feel like it's been tough for him to kind of find that sinister Mafia Don vibe. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Casino. And I'm expecting kind of that, like, what? What? Is that a problem?
Not bad.
Is that a problem? No, that's what. No, well, he always gives me a look, but now it's like, what now? I'm saying a Scorsese movie is one of my favorites. You have a problem with it?
I was going to say, that's not like a shot
like what is it now, Chris? What is
I think that pretty much sums up what Tony D is. They want him to be the Godfather, but he's Casino.
Clip that.
That's good.
That's 100% accurate.
You obviously didn't see that scene where Joe Pesci got
just throwing it out there.
You know what?
You know I love you,
Not
but
today.
Or
you too.
I will say this. This brings up with Tony D, and we're just shitting on Tony D. I'll add to that.
On Tony D.
Well, most of us are. I will say with the WWE game, for those that have played the My Rise, in one of the My Rise stories, you start off in a tournament and you get thrown into a tournament. Your first competitor is Tony D'Angelo on the main roster, and he's made out to be some like very hard to beat guy.
Yeah.
And I was immediately like, even in a video game, his character didn't make any sense as hard to beat. Yeah. Anyway.
So, all right, before we get predictions on this, and Ian, I'll start with you. What would you do to fix this character?
You have to mix realism. I mean, that's what wrestling has turned into. The characters of like a Happy Corbin, even then, that's more realistic than a Tony D'Angelo family situation. You cannot, like you said, Chris, the cartooniness. You cannot have cartooniness unless you're Tony Storm, because then it's funny. That's entertaining. Yeah. You can't be a serious competitor and also be cartoonish. You're either one or the other. I don't know. I think Alpha Academy has done another. They blended it well because they were funny at first, and then they brought out their edge. Tony D'Angelo doesn't really have an edge. Yeah. It's just he relies too much on the gimmick. Brother.
Well, like you said, he's got a gun. His finishing move should just be called Point Blank.
Be a good one.
That's a free idea.
Like that.
Yeah, you can have that.
And realistically, it's really hard to be the final boss when The Rock is doing what he's doing.
That's my final boss.
That's true. That's a great point. I mean, and I said a lot of this during the initial build. It's like Tony has been a single or a tag team guy for a very long time, and then he is just all of a sudden saying, all right, this was great. Now that we've lost these titles, I'm going for this one. I mean, on one hand, the logic side of my brain says that's what you should want, is if you are in the wrestling industry, you should want to go for the top title that's available to you at any point in time. And much like Austin has said, if you're not out in this business to go get that, then you shouldn't be here. But they while to try to convince me, and they still have work to do. I mean, they just kind of said, all right, I'm done with the tag team ranks. Added Luca Crucifino, which I think was a great touch. It's just kind of a where was this all along kind of thing, because it really rounds out that group. I think that with Adriana Rizzo, I think she might have legitimately had some sort of injury that it took her a while to actually get caught up, come back to be a part of that group, or else she would have been for most of this run. And I think that we would have seen more of that dynamic of, yes, Tony is still going kind of after tag team gold as boss, underboss, just the empire. But it's I am probably in the minority here as far as somebody that actually liked that pre-tape last night, because yes, they showed a sinister side of him. It just took entirely too long to get there. I think if they had kind of set that up maybe a couple of weeks ago, where he tried to intimidate Ilya by kind of taking advantage of that injured hand. I mean, that's a very just kind of subtle mafia movie thing where it's just kind of pressing on an injury or taking something to try to show physical dominance and intimidation. It just took too long to get there. That being said, consensus pick, Ilya wins this one. No?
Yeah, but I don't want to be dramatic or anything, but if Tony D'Angelo walks out of Stand and Deliver with that NXT title, I will not be watching NXT.
No, you're full of shit.
Can I propose a little question here?
Of course.
Would you guys be happier if this was Lexus King in Tony D'Angelo's
Yes.
Hell no,
Yes.
I would not be happier.
Yes.
No,
I would.
No.
What?
And this is
Yes.
coming from Mr. Cincinnati. I love Brian Pillman Jr. Met him a couple of times. Super nice guy.
All right, good flex.
No, I do not want him in this match right now. No.
Name drop.
It's better than Tony D'Angelo. I'm sticking to it.
No.
At least Lexus King's a singles guy. Tony D'Angelo's a tag team.
It's a good point.
Tony D. Wow. Tony D.
Yeah.
It's my cousin.
Has a more realistic chance than Lexus King would.
Yeah.
If you give Lexus King a good build there, and you actually set that matchup maybe a month
Lexus King can't
away.
even beat John Redcorn, and we're talking about
He gotta win this week. Damn it!
His name is Troy Bear.
Climbing up the rankings.
Sorry, Troy Bearhill, John Redcorn, whatever. You couldn't even beat him.
Yeah, but you have an off night here and there.
Jeez.
He's had an off couple of months. Like,
He's had an off year.
It's
Not his fault.
Career.
I'm not saying that it is.
Well, whose is it?
And
Whoever's writing the script,
it's Mr. WrestleMania's fault. If we're gonna point fingers, okay, it's Mr. WrestleMania's fault.
This is on you,
The clock
Shawn
starts-
Michaels.
It was Tony
Lexus
Khan's
King
fault.
should be here, not Tony D'Angelo's fake Italian ass.
It was Tony Khan's fault too, right? He couldn't get over.
Yeah.
No, not tonight. Not tonight. It's a Stand and Deliver night, okay?
AEW is where the best wrestlers
We're gonna
are.
catch up on AEW next week.
Right.
We promise. It's WrestleMania week,
They
and
love it there. Everybody loves it in AEW.
Yeah, they're having a great time. If you did not,
We don't have a roster problem.
Right?
We didn't just release people.
No. After
Why is
you
nobody
see how
talking
little
about that, by
control
the
I
way?
have over this show as they do that. You see this? This is.
I think they are. I think people are like, didn't you say a couple years ago that you honor contracts? Oh, wait. That's weird.
Did you guys see MJF's tweets today?
I did not.
I didn't
MJ.
know he tweeted.
Was it about The Rock?
Yes. It was
Yeah.
very funny.
Yeah, I did see that
He's
one.
just being
Yeah.
a troll.
As he,
He's re-signed.
Oh, I see it.
did he though?
Yeah,
I think
he
he
did.
did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Never say never. I'm not gonna like.
Dragon
that's
off
not one.
retains.
Yes, that's
Dragon
not what
off
they get
retains.
my hopes up for. But okay, all right. That is my cue to shut the hell up.
We're
So-
going
We said it,
Carmelo
no
Hayes,
AEW talk. I'm trying to help you
Trick
out.
Williams. It's in a singles match. I'm surprised we didn't get any type of gimmick, but it is the first battle between these two. I think the first of
Not
a
only
couple
that-
we may get. Don't interrupt me, but I think in this match we will see Trick Williams win. But man, there will be something at the end of the night that hooks us back in for okay. This is gonna keep going somehow. So
Yep.
give me Trick Williams for the battle, but Melo might win the war, and that's just that might be foreshadowing.
So before I was so rudely interrupted, I was going to point out that this is the first time, at least certainly in NXT, two black men are main eventing a PLE. So if you have a problem with me mentioning that,
Oh.
Eric, it's actually the first time it's main evented WrestleMania weekend.
okay, there we go.
Even bigger.
Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say before I was so rudely interrupted. But okay.
He's been winding down over there. I see
It
the
is
glass.
Nah,
way
he's-
it is 9:30.
The thing is, hey, you still got one more day of this, but also catch us on Wrestling Spotlight on the Local Now app tomorrow night, 9:15, 8:15 Central. As far as the build to this, we're gonna start with you, Mr. OTM. Give us your thoughts on, start to finish. What have you thought about how they have presented this, and where this rivalry ranks for you personally in the history of all-time NXT rivalries?
Yeah, it's a great question. As somebody that's watched NXT since day one, we've had our fair share of fantastic rivalries. The first one that comes to mind, and obviously I'm biased because I'm a Johnny guy, but I think Johnny and Ciampa had the best rivalry in NXT history.
Yeah.
Definitely number one for me. But Trick and Carmelo have a case to be top 3 best rivalry in NXT history, in my opinion. I think the build to this has been fantastic. Granted, it probably should have been for the title because we all view this as the main event. It's going to be the main event, so why not have the title included in it as well? But yeah, I think this has been one of the best builds that we've gotten in NXT history, and I've loved every second of it.
Yeah, Ian, what do you think so far?
I loved it.
I think there's an argument for it.
Sasha Bailey is probably up there as well.
KO
Asuka,
Sammy.
Shayna. Yeah, never mind. Not top 3, but it's top 10.
I think it has the potential to get there. And,
Yeah.
and now I'll stop interrupting. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I mean, even as an outsider, I did say I don't remember. It was about a month or two ago when on OTM when we covered an NXT show, and I did say I had watched 2 weeks in a row, which was impressive for me for NXT. And the one reason was because of this feud, and I've been pretty well entertained, even just being an outsider and catching up every now and then, seeing the segments through YouTube. That's been about it. But I mean, like, I've been locked in, and I didn't ever. This is just showing how good Carmelo Hayes could be as a heel, because he is a ruthless killer. He is. Yeah. He's one of the cerebral assassin kind of characters. But also Trick Williams, they capitalized on his meteoric rise just basically out of nowhere, out of fresh air.
Very organic, yeah.
Very organic. And that's once you start getting into that realism, like I was talking about earlier, and organic feuds and organic rises to fame, that's when magic happens. And I mean, we're seeing magic on our screens right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we really are. And Cage My IQ, this reminds him of HBK and Diesel and kind of that breakout 95, 96. I look at this as Triple H, Shawn Michaels 02. This was, minus the return from a, career-ending injury. There are a lot of those parallels of, okay, we were thicker than thieves. We were closer than 6s to 7, and now you have kind of branched off. You've gone and done your own thing, and now we need to figure out between the two of us who is the better man. I don't like you stealing my spotlight. When Trick Williams, when we look at when he came to save the day at SmackDown in Miami, that reaction for a crowd that, there's probably a good 30%, that'd be my estimate, that don't watch NXT. But even then,
probably more.
Yeah, you hear that music hit, and they just went banana for him. So that's very hard to ignore. And I think with Trick, I think the NXT title is still in his sights. I think that they're going to, they're going to take their time with him because, no matter what, right now, he remains consistently over. As long as he's winning, he is over. So to start off the predictions, I'm going to say that Trick wins this. I think that there's probably still a larger war that we need to address over the next few months. But for the purposes of this weekend, I think Trick gets that big win. Podcast Dad, what say you?
Yeah, I think Trick wins it. It's WrestleMania weekend. You want to kind of go out with the big babyface win. Like I said, this won't be the last time these two face off. I think this could go to the main roster and be something pretty special. But give Trick the win here. I think he'll be in NXT probably a little bit longer. Melo will go off to SmackDown and kind of do his own thing.
Yeah, and I believe this is the second straight year too that Carmelo Hayes will be main eventing. I was there at Stand and Deliver in LA when he won the NXT title. Now he's main eventing this year, so kudos to him. But I think we all know what's happening here, and you guys have kind of been saying that we're going to get that feel-good moment to end Stand and Deliver. It's fairly obvious to me just because Carmelo Hayes was drafted to SmackDown, just like the Braun Breaker situation. I think he's ready to take that next step. We'll see what's next for him on the blue brand. But, yeah, I think Trick definitely wins this one. I'm agreeing with you guys. I think we're going to get more from these two, whether it's in NXT or on the main roster in the near future. But I definitely think Trick's going to walk away with the victory here in the main event.
Podcast son.
I mean, yeah, you guys said everything. I just want to point out, too, with Trick Williams, I mean, one legend's name that's been attached to him at his hip, whether for the funny moments or for like the just being there in general, has been Booker T, just with the announcing and everything. Anytime I see Trick Williams in the ring, I mean, I know he was trained by Booker T, and it shows. Yeah. Booker T put his legacy into Trick Williams. They are going to put a lot of steam behind him, especially now that he's over organically. He's very entertaining in the ring, very entertaining outside of the ring, and obviously can attract the people in love. The sky's the limit for Trick Williams, genuinely. I think he is this generation's Booker T.
And he played for the Eagles. I mean, that's going to go a long way with this crowd this weekend.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I gotta say, I'm proud of I'm proud of you because you've not once mentioned that on the show, and that I know that you probably weren't thinking about it, but that's taking some restraint. Good for you.
I mean, practice squad, but hey, still way better than I.
Okay. You want to say that to him? I'm just trying to give him his flowers here, and you wanted to put an asterisk by him.
Well, if he was on the Bengals, he probably would have been starting receiver. So
One of these days, I'm just gonna put my foot
straight
so
to
far
the
up
moon.
your ass. It just right.
What? Drink a couple Steve Weisers.
What? Wind down Wednesday, everyone.
Gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Any final thoughts about Stand and Deliver card or anything else you're looking forward to this entire week? I'm going to turn this over to our guest, Ian. A few seconds, floor is yours, and then we'll pass it over to Mr. OTM.
Obviously, the number one thing I'm looking forward to is obviously WrestleMania. However, if I find the time, which don't have a lot because I have to work this weekend, but if I find the time, I will be trying to watch NXT because I say it so much that I want to watch NXT. I just never find myself being able to, but I genuinely want to because I think NXT is branched away from 2.0. I think we've all agreed they have officially moved on from that era or whatever you want to call it. And I think they're back. I think
agree.
they're pushing out a lot of the next generation of WWE talent.
Mr. OTM?
Yeah, I mean, even though the build itself I didn't think was that great for the show, we know that NXT delivers at these PLEs. It's similar to AEW. Even if AEW's build is crap, they end up putting on a very good pay-per-view with very good matches. And I'm expecting, very much having fun in there in AEW. But, I think it'll be a good show at the end of the night. Very excited for this weekend as a whole. We got a lot of, content coming out for the Main Event Wrestling Network. I'll save you some plugs, Mr. Cincinnati. This Saturday morning at 9:30 Central. It's 10:30 your guys' time. We will be live right before Stand and Deliver, not us four. Sorry, I don't think Ian's going to be there. But instead of Ian, we're going to be bringing in the Great Brown Hope himself. He was a part of episode 3 of the Main Event Mixer, so he'll be back for that. And then on Sunday, you can catch us live at mainevent_net for WrestleMania Night 1 recap. I have a feeling that show is going to be very fun and very long. And I'm hoping we are going to get the return of Jim Tucker, who has been away from OTM for the past couple months. So be on the lookout for that good stuff. And, of course, as you've seen, as Eric's popping up the graphics, follow us at Pod on the Mark if you want to check us out. But, thanks for having us on, guys. It's always a good time when we get together.
Podcast Dad?
Yeah, I think this will be a fun appetizer for the main course we're going to get for night 1. So pretty excited for it. It's at noon. It's going to be a long day of wrestling, but
long weekend.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely ready. To everybody that is in Philadelphia, have fun, be safe. Check out all the indie wrestling that you can between all the big shows. There's a lot of people working hard this weekend and putting out some great stuff. We will be back tomorrow night with King Chris. We'll be giving our WrestleMania Night 2 predictions. So hope to see you guys in the chats for that tomorrow night, 6:30 Eastern. We will also be on Local Now Wrestling Spotlight tomorrow night, 9:15 Eastern, 8:15 Central. Always good to hang out with Gerald and the crew. I think that's all that I've got. Again, if you all know at least one person that would enjoy this podcast, send them a link. Send them our Twitter, send them whatever. Let them check it out for themselves. We just like talking wrestling. We like having a good time here, and despite the fact that my co-host is going to make me go gray prematurely, and his degenerate son and best friend are not helping matters.
Hey man, I can't help that you're old.
What am I, a year older than you?
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the gray hair.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Mr. OTM's
I'm not gray right now. I'm just saying you're going to make me go gray, and I look younger than you, so blow it out your ass.
Nice
okay?
you got there. Hey, I forgot to mention that we have a podcast tomorrow night, too. So, check us out.
Yeah. On the Mark podcast.
I was plugging the network. See, look
Thursday.
at me putting everybody over instead of myself.
Company man.
Yeah, right.
Hot on the Mark tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Erica Marini's return. WrestleMania Night 1, Night 2. We're diving into it. That's all I got. I'll shut up.
It'll be a long episode.
No, hey, as it should be. I feel like this is kind of the week that it doesn't really matter. Just go, have fun with it. This is the greatest weekend of the year. This is Christmas, spring break, Mardi Gras, opening day, your birthday. All of it rolled into one, and we're going to have some fun with it. So thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. We will be back tomorrow night at 6:30 for Mr. OTM, for the podcast son, for the podcast dad, and Mr. Cincinnati, and we will talk to you guys soon.